Good morning, friends. Why am I all bundled up? Why, it's the time of the Greccio, right? So I know my local Franciscan shrine, and if you have a local Franciscan church, they are probably getting ready to do a live nativity scene like St. Francis did in the town of Greccio, and that's why we call it Greccio. Some people may call it a Crecci. It's a little, nativity scene that is set up. Well, the other day, St. Francis actually went to Greccio, and he then sent out an apostolic letter about it. So you can read it for yourself, but I thought I'd give you a quick little breakdown for those who haven't read it. It's available on the Vatican website, of course. It is called Admirabile Signum of the Holy Father Francis on the meaning and importance of the nativity scene. And it's really relevant for everyone today. So even if you aren't Franciscan, please hold on, bear with me a minute, and let me explain. So it starts out talking about the depiction of Jesus' birth is itself a simple and joyful proclamation of the mystery of the incarnation of the Son of God. And if you've heard me talk about St. Francis and why he loved sweet baby Jesus of Bethlehem, that has to do it. It's the incarnation. That's why they loved that image so much, St. Francis, because it's a symbol of the incarnation, that God loved us so much, he sent his son. And remember, I told you before, this is not in the letter, that Franciscans believe that God would have sent Jesus anyway. Just like when we get all filled up with the Lord, it spills out, Merry Christmas, or God love you, have a blessed day. That spills out of us. God is that to the infinity, right? And so that love was going to pour out. He was going to send Jesus anyway. And it's that Jesus was willing to become little like us in order to bring us back to him. It's like, we got lost from the garden. In the garden, Adam and Eve were walking with God, and then they kind of got sent out. And so Jesus had to become like us to bring us back to him. Whenever he came as God the Father, we seem to fail a lot, right? And God's like, yeah, they need a little help. So he sent us this big brother who's always going to come looking for us, that best friend who's always going to be there at your side through everything. They're not saying he's going to save you from everything, but he will always be there with you and leading you back to the Father. So back to the letter, the Pope is encouraging this as a beautiful family tradition, but not just for families, that he wants to see it more out in the public, in businesses, on street corners, town squares, hospitals, prisons, especially where people need hope is where we need to be setting up our nativity scenes. And as always, he says, make sure you go back and read the Gospels when you're setting it up. So this could be a great practice. I know a lot of people are doing an Advent challenge where you read a chapter of Luke a day in Advent. So this could be a great thing as you read the chapter, maybe spend 5 minutes working on your nativity scene. And so there's a lot of fun things you can do with the nativity scene. Let's see. So it says St. Francis was probably inspired. So he'd been in Rome. He was getting his rule approved by Pope Honorius III. So we're in 1223, okay? And he had already visited the Holy Land. So the caves in Greccio, when he'd always go off to caves and pray. So when he was up in those caves in Greccio on his way home, it might have reminded him of the countryside of Bethlehem. Also, he had been in the Roman Basilica of St. Mary Major, which has a lot of mosaics of the birth of Jesus. So maybe this is all playing together in his head. And then, as the Franciscan sources say, it's 15 days before Christmas. And he talked to a local guy named John, and he's like, I really want to do this. I want to have a big nativity scene out. And so they went ahead and they did it. And it was friars coming to Greccio from various parts, it says, as well as local people from farmsteads in the area. And they brought up flowers and torches to light up the holy night. So it kind of reminds you of Jesus coming back into Jerusalem, right, with the palm branches in his triumphant end. So it's a good parallel. I don't know that the people were thinking that way when they did it, but they had flowers and torches to light it up. They also said when Francis arrived, they already had a manger and it was full of hay, had an ox and a donkey, and everybody had such joy watching it. And many of them claim to have seen the actual baby Jesus in the manger. It's just so beautiful. So it wasn't statues. And in fact, they had a priest actually have the miracle of the Eucharist over the nativity scene. So how amazing is that? And I know at our local shrine, they do have some adoration going on at their live nativity. So they're trying to do it sort of true to St. Francis. And right now that is a working farm right now. It's our little portion farm where the all the produce that's raised is going to a shelter in the city. So I'm expecting great things from this Greccio. Could be really special this year with that working farm for the poor right there. Because what else do we add to our what else do we add? Sorry, Pope Francis goes into it somewhere in here. What else are we adding to it? People love to add to it, not just the little kids. I know little kids tend to sneak little action figures in the nativity scene, but I also know they're not the only ones. People like to sneak extra things in the nativity scene. And sometimes it's a toy they have, but sometimes it has great and significant meaning. This year, we have one of those big blow-up ones that has a motor, right? And it blows it up on your lawn. And we have a big blow-up one. And I got a camel this year because it's what we have is a little manger. And I'm looking at it, the box right now. It's got Mary, Joseph, and they're holding Jesus, and it's got a donkey, and Joseph has the light in his hand. And that's it. And we found a camel this year, so I'm going to add a camel. But I'm really tempted. I saw a llama, and I really, besides my love of llamas, I would like to add the llama because to me, that's evangelization. In the original Bible story, right, everybody knows about the 3 wise men. And so those were the Gentiles coming, right, to worship the Lord. And I think we've gotten kind of used to that imagery, so I like the thought of adding the llama to show all the world we're supposed to evangelize. And I thought that would be kind of special. I also like it because I think the llama that I saw has like the beast of burden look. So the donkey and the one I have doesn't have like the bags on him. I want an animal to have the bags on him for carrying things because although they brought gifts to Jesus, right? Jesus is sending gifts back out into the world, right? The knowledge of love is what he's sending back out into the world. And the Pope talks about adding beggars to your nativity scene. I have literally never seen anybody do this but Pope Francis, but what do I know? But I was thinking it would be kind of fun if you have an indoor nativity scene, you could add some little gifts under it that you're going to donate to the poor throughout the year. So whether it's a commitment, a kid could have an empty box and they could write little notes like, I'm going to rake the lawn for the widow down the street. And they put their little note in the box, and that's going to be a gift they give. And they could keep slipping little slips of paper in of kind deeds. Maybe somebody would like to bake cookies for a new mom down the street, or, a casserole for somebody when they're sick. And you don't have to have the person just say, when I hear a friend is sick, I'm going to make a meal for their family and pop it in there. Maybe the kid could gather up some toys, buy some toys at a discount after Christmas. You could write a note, after Christmas, I'm going to buy some discount stuffed animals, and I'm going to donate them to a shelter. Or you could find out if your local police collect stuffed animals to give to kids when they encounter them. You could find out maybe your dog, hint, hint, could even wash up some of his old gently used toys and donate them to a shelter. Hint, hint, someone gets a bark box. And he doesn't like every toy that he gets, even on Christmas. So I'm thinking of, and bark box toys are totally machine washable, so I'm going to throw some of those bad boys in, and we're going to donate to the shelter as well. So everybody in the family can participate, even the dog. Hint, hint. But I know my sister-in-law does this with my nephew, that he gathers up a bunch of toys that he's outgrown, and they clean them up and make them nice and donate them right before Christmas. And that's such a beautiful thing. So you could include that in your outdoor nativity if you wanted to get some, like ours is a big blow up one. So we might get some blow up little gifts to put out there, symbolizing gifts that we're going to be giving to other people. And in fact, we could actually put gifts out there. I mean, they have to be like wrapped in plastic somehow, but have a gift tag, and then maybe neighbors could come and get them or something. I don't know. I'm still thinking this out. I'm excited to hear other people's ideas, because when you hear living nativity, you think that there's actors in it. What I want to see this year, friends, is a living nativity in your heart. Sorry. Sometimes the things I say surprise me if you haven't realized that yet. I totally meant to be focusing on St. Francis's letter, but this is why I pray before I do these. I'm not saying that I'm any great and wise person, but sometimes the things that come out of my mouth are not my words, and I thank the Spirit for the inspiration, because that's what I want this year. I want a living nativity in our hearts, friends. I want the public displays because I want people to see exteriorly what we're feeling interiorly. But don't just put out that nativity out on your lawn. I want you to live it. I want us all to live it, to say, yes, this house is a house of welcome. If you need something, even if I don't have it, we'll figure a way. Even if I can't do it, come on in. Let's figure it out. We'll figure it out together. And that's what I want people to know. And that's what the nativity is about. It's about the incarnation where Jesus humbled himself and came to us in the humble little form of a baby. But Jesus also humbles himself and he comes into our hearts if we but make room for him. That's what Advent is about. Making room for Jesus. Mary probably had her own plans for her life. But when the angel Gabriel came to her, being a woman of prayer, and set apart by the Immaculate Conception, she was able to say, yes, there's room in my heart to love a baby that is going to be God and that I know will suffer. And I know I'm going to suffer. Yes. Yeah, there's room in my heart for this. I can do this. I can do all things through you. And even Joseph, how brave is he? He should have stoned Mary. He should have stoned Mary, right? Custom would be that he should have set her aside, left her, nothing to do with her. But that dream, an angel came to him, and not every man that has a dream is going to be like, oh yeah, well, an angel came to me in my dream. I'm going to do this risky thing. I'm going to do the right thing and stand up for what's right. Not every man's going to do that. But Joseph did. God bless him. He did. I can't imagine the grace on that man to stand up and do that and fight for Mary and Jesus and to build a home with them. God bless him, right? That's not easy. It's not easy to make those tough choices for men or women. And they did. They stood up and they did it. And their families all welcomed them. The second she goes to Elizabeth, and oh my goodness, right? Do we make room for Jesus? I mean, Elizabeth wasn't like, really, Mary? You're 14. No, she was like, yes. And baby John leapt into her womb for joy. He was even like, yay, your cousin. It was so exciting. And does your heart do that when you go to Mass? Does your Mass say, yes, Lord? When you go to Mass, do you sing Fiat when you're getting ready for communion? There are times when I'm so reflective going up for communion, right? That I'm so lost in myself. I have fallen. I admit it because I bow. I'm lost in contemplation. I get up there, I bow, I lift my head up real quick, and I'm a little dizzy for a second. The priests know me. They know this. They're always ready for me now. But sometimes I am so joyful. I'm still that little girl. Same, I remember always doing this, grinning ear to ear the whole way up, grinning ear to ear the whole way back. Because I want to make room for Jesus. And when you make room for him, sometimes it's like you can feel him going, yeah, I like it in here. This is pretty good. Lots of room to move and create new love and joy in this heart. Yeah, I'm pretty comfy here. So the joy of the Eucharist is absolutely the joy of the nativity scene, the incarnation. Live it, put it in your hearts. I'm excited to see, how are you going to do your nativity this year? Sometimes I have a little people's one and I move them around. And don't forget, there's a great exhibit if you can get down to the Franciscan Shrine of the Holy Land in Washington, D.C. They have nativity scenes from around the world as a display this year. I still haven't gotten there. I'm super excited and pumped to go see it. If you live near a town that does a live nativity, absolutely get out there. If your town doesn't have one, consider it. Consider making it meaningful. Have people bring donations. Like where have people bring donations to the live nativity. They can bring food for the shelter. Ours serves hot chocolate and cookies afterwards that are all donated by the secular Franciscans and serve the people with that. But why not bring canned goods anyway and be like, no, this is my donation for the local food pantry too. Yeah, why not? Bring donations too. If they're not accepting donations, fill up those Toys for Tots bins wherever you find them. And you can always take your donations to your local church or food pantry yourself. And yeah, gather them up. Be like, oh, this is the price of admission for our Greccio. Even if they're not collecting it, I'm collecting it. And put out a little drive. You could put out a little sign at your nativity. Hey, drop off your food donations here. We're taking them to the food pantry later. God bless you, friends.